breaking news on KGW News at Noon.
And we start in Washington, where the Big Hollow fire is growing fast. It's burning 22,000 acres and is closing campgrounds, roads, and trails in the southwestern part of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. Here in Oregon, firefighters are taking on the Riverside fire in Clackamas County. It exploded in size and is now burning 120,000 acres. There's concern shifting winds could send flames in many different directions. This fire is burning near Estacada. Folks who live there were told to get out, but everyone in Clackamas County should be ready to leave. Crews are working 4 major fires there right now. Bryant Clerkley joins us live in Clackamas today. And Bryant, you spoke with evacuees.
I did speak with the evacuees. I'm actually at the Albertsons here in Oregon City, and there's a lot of evacuees here, and there's a local group that actually has food and anything that these evacuees might need. And authorities say if you're not under a level 2 or level 3 evacuation, you're under a level 1, so you need to be ready to go.
A horror. Horrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. You don't know whether your home's going to be there when you get back. We have animals that we couldn't bring with us that are cows.
Patricia Bates and her husband have left their home in Colton and have been staying at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds since Monday. They just want to go home.
We just left. We just threw a few things in the car, and we have a motorhome, and it was not packed. And we just came, didn't have any sheets or blankets in it, just left.
Ronald Young is from Estacada. He's camped out over at Clackamas Community College, another evacuation center.
Hopefully we have a place to live, because if our stuff burns down, that's it. I mean, I'm on a fixed income.
Young says he was scared for his life when he evacuated.
When they're telling you to go, you go, you know, and it was just black, thick smoke. You couldn't breathe.
And as evacuations continue, Clackamas County deputies will be patrolling homes and properties that people left behind, and they'll be watching out for looters and anyone trying to take advantage of this disaster. Brenda?
Yeah, that is a terrible situation on top of what is already very difficult. Thank you so much, Bryant. Well, there is some promising news on the Chehalem Mountain Bald Peak fire. This one is burning in Washington and Yamhill counties and is about 50% contained. Here's some video from Sky 8. There are no new evacuation orders north of Newburgh. The fire itself covers about 2,000 acres and it's burning in rugged terrain. About a dozen homes in the area have evacuated. The Alameda fire has killed at least 1 person in Ashland, and police confirm they have launched a criminal investigation into how it started. They say it sparked at a BMX park, and that's where the body was found. Meanwhile, someone else died in another fire in Siskiyou County. And video from Medford yesterday shows neighborhoods there in ruin. Evacuees came back to find their homes and belongings destroyed. More than 80,000 people have evacuated from Medford. The Alameda fire also decimated the communities of Talent and Phoenix. Check out this tweet from KGW's Kyla Boshi. It shows Phoenix before and after. On the left, a New York Times photo of the damage, and on the right, a Google Maps image of what the neighborhood used to look like. Now to the Sandy Am fire in Marion County. This one has burned more than 150,000 acres. We learned sad news. A 12-year-old boy, Wyatt Tofty, died in this fire. His grandmother is missing. Her family believes she also died. Wyatt's mom is in critical condition with serious burns. The family is from Lyons, and news of that tragedy spread quickly.
His life was just beginning. I mean, a child that I'll never see beyond today or yesterday. It's just devastating.
Wyatt was the great-grandson of Roger Tofty, the founder of Enchanted Forest in Turner. You know, with fires of this magnitude, it's easy to get lost in the numbers, things like acres burned or even tragically lives lost. With that in mind, our crews on the ground are working to bring you an up-close look at the impact of these fires and what they're doing to people. We want to turn to Maggie Vespa. She's live in Marion County today. Now, Maggie, you and your photographer drove right along the edge of the Santiam Fire's burn zone, and you ended up calling 911.
Yeah, Brenda, we did. We were getting video of the damage in Lyons when a man drove up and said that he had just seen a fire burning next to propane tanks. Here's what we found. In the rubble of an already leveled home, flames near fuel, what appear to be literal tanks of propane. We found this around 10 a.m. in Lyons, Oregon. We got out of there and called 911. We also found a lot of damage up and down East Lyons Mill City Drive. It's along the southern edge of the Level 3 evacuation notice tied to Marion County's Santiam fire. That said, not everything is gone. Your son's home is untouched.
Untouched, everything around it burned, front, rear, sides, everything.
Tuesday morning, Brian Yarberry and his son hadn't heard any warnings yet, but they started packing up just in case. Suddenly, they stepped outside and saw the flames.
It was less than 100 yards across the street from the house with no notice, so we knew it was time to leave. And at that point, there's nothing you can do. You just hope and pray that the house stands.
Thankfully, it did, but several homes and structures around it were lost, including a cedar shake mill across the street. Hotspots were still smoldering there, too. Thursday morning, Yarberry was beyond grateful his son's home was untouched.
And we have to give the fire department an attaboy. They worked real hard on the back part of the house. There is places where their boots was on fire and they touched the grass and you can see burn footprints.
We also saw those firefighters working tirelessly. Minutes after we called in that fire near the propane tanks, a task force showed up to put it out. One threat extinguished. Those who have seen this wildfire in action warn, though, don't underestimate the battle ahead.
It can move faster than you can move. So don't think about it. Just move and get out of the area.
Yeah, that was a grave warning. So for what it's worth, by the way, we are in Staten right now. This is under a level 2 evacuation notice, and you can see just how smoky and hazy it is here. This is just level 2, which means be ready to go. And then I also want to point out, you can see the deputy behind me. He's there blocking cars from getting onto Highway 22. Because of the fires, it's closed through Santiam Pass. Brenda, back to you.
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. We want to give you another view of the smoky skies. We can look out live from our Wells Fargo sky cam. Okay, that looks like a winter overcast, but that is all smoke this noon. Rod Hill has been tracking this for us. He's at his home studio in Vancouver today. So you have an air quality alert today.
We do. In fact, in parts of the Portland metro area, I would tell you the air quality is worse than it's been so far this week. A mix of moderate to unhealthy air in Portland, and then still just that unhealthy to hazardous air when you get down to the Mid-Valley. In a bit of an embarrassing moment, I just realized that my remote laptop logged me out. So it's just going to take me 2 seconds, and it'll be coming back up. I thank you for that. All right, let's get you to the satellite picture behind me. Brenda pointed out, none of this is good old-fashioned cloud cover. If it weren't for the wildfires, we'd be clear. All of this is basically a big smoke cloud. And if you can see this plume, that's the big hollow fire that Brenda updated you on in southwest Washington that started in around Mount Adams in the Skamania County area that's blowing smoke over into Clark County. And then the biggest plume down here is that Beachy Creek fire in Central Oregon that's now over 160,000, or just less than 160,000 acres burned. But that's everything in the sky, and the wind is still east enough that's blowing everything out across the valley and in the Pacific. Now let's go to the weather maps that I had to reboot my laptop for. A mix of the air quality warnings. I mentioned how bad Portland is and parts of the eastern portion of the metro. We're actually into the unhealthy zone. And then, of course, fire weather warnings continue. Here's the Rose City camera. We have seen some thinning in the East Metro, East Multnomah County and East Clark County, and getting a little bit of filtered sun. But we think that's just kind of a surprise tweet that will eventually... well, I think my computer is not having a good day. That's eventually going to thicken back up. I'll get my computer straightened out. Brian, let's come back out to me on camera. I will tell you, east winds right now along the Columbia River are still gusting to about 30, but generally the east wind field is calming as we expected, and we still expect light west winds tomorrow. and we still expect the chance for improving air quality at some point this weekend. I'll have more on that coming up.
We all can relate to technical problems. You are still a rock star. We appreciate you. Thank you, Rod. You know, this was already a year of wearing masks because of COVID-19. And now people are wondering if that mask can actually protect them from the wildfire smoke. KGW's Kristen Severance is here with the answer.
Even if you aren't near a fire, the air quality across Oregon and Washington is not great. Some places are worse than others. I want to zoom in on this air quality map to really show you what I'm talking about. So if you look in the yellow areas, that's Portland and some other parts of the state, the air quality is moderate. If you go to the orange area, the quality is unhealthy for sensitive groups. Look at the red area near the coast. Air quality unhealthy. But if you look near this maroon area, that's Eugene and right outside of Salem, the air quality there is hazardous. But really trying to protect your lungs from bad air or smoke during a pandemic can be tricky. With hundreds of thousands of acres burning in Oregon, you may want a mask to protect your lungs from breathing in smoke or dirty air. According to the Centers for Disease Control, when trees and brush burn, carbon particles and toxic hydrocarbons are released into the air. Inhaling wildfire smoke can cause coughing, lung inflammation, and shortness of breath, which can make respiratory illnesses like COVID-19 worse. Dr. An Nguyen is a senior medical director at Providence.
So there are irritants that come in for people that have underlying illnesses such as asthma or heart and lung conditions. That irritant can actually exacerbate their current situation.
Doctors say the cloth face coverings and surgical masks most of us wear to stop the spread of COVID will not filter out most smoke particles. The N95 respirator mask will protect you from COVID and from smoke particles, but they should still really be reserved for healthcare workers. What about the N95 masks with the valves? Doctors say good for blocking smoke particles, but not coronavirus. You could wear a cloth mask over the N95 mask with a valve as an alternative. According to the CDC, the best way to protect yourself from wildfire smoke is to stay inside and use a portable air cleaner if you can.
They should stay inside because that's the safest place for them to be. So if there's high smoke anywhere, they should just try to avoid those places, because the mask isn't going to offer them as much protection as being indoors would be.
There is some great information from the CDC here about how to really make your home as safe as possible. For example, if you have forced air inside your home, you may need to speak with an HVAC professional about different filters and settings. For example, you want to use recirculate and on rather than auto. I put all of this information on our website. You can check out all of our wildfire coverage here. Just click on this story for all of these tips.